Look at all the bubbles coming out.
You're on the Kodokuna Raida YouTube channel.
We are heroes tonight. Yeah. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky. We are heroes tonight.
Well, hello. It's another beautiful, beautiful spring day. It's in the mid-20s. Clear sky. Ah, that's just great. So it's our second day restoring the Vmax. So what I really want to do today is get the hydraulic clutch working again. As you remember, we changed the handle because this part of the plastic was damaged, and now I have no pressure, so there's nothing. But I don't think there's anything wrong with the clutch. What I think is that when the bike was laid down so long on the left hand side, just the fluid is drained out and we've got big air bubbles. Now there is a few different ways to get your clutch working or bleed your clutch, and we're going to try a few today just to show you in case you're not sure how to do it. Now I always like the type where you pump the clutch up pressure and then you release the valve and then the fluid comes out and you slowly get pressure, but it doesn't always work on a bike. So on a bike, this part of your clutch is called the master cylinder, and at the other end is called the slave cylinder. So here we have our master cylinder, and in the Vmax down here, oh, I'm sorry, it's still hard to get up and down with my leg. You take this little rubber off here, I'll pull it out of the way, and this in here is your slave cylinder, and this is your bleeding valve. So it's a little 8mm bleeding valve here that the fluid can come out. So this tube running around here, and then it runs all the way up to our master cylinder, is your clutch. So we want to get all the air out of this tube to come out of here. Now there is a few different ways. One way is called just gravity. So we fill our master cylinder up with fluid. We undo this slave cylinder, the valve, with a little bit of tube here, and gravity will just slowly let the fluid come down. Fluid will come out of this tube here and bleed our system. That's one way. Another way is that we put a tube on here and like a syringe, and we push. I'm sorry, my leg. Oh, jeez. Oh, just a sec. Oh, sorry, I slipped and hurt my leg. Anyway, another type of bleeding we can do is we connect a tube here with a syringe and we push the fluid back up to the master cylinder. So you're actually pushing the air out. I've never had great success with that way. And the final way, which I usually have best success, is that we get that little rubber off here. So again, this is our master cylinder. The fluid comes down here. Now I find that most of my problems come with air in this part of the system between the master cylinder and coming out into the hose. When I crack this open, I can get a little bit of pressure and the fluid bleeds to here. We get the air out of here, and then it often is enough to push it all the way down the bottom. But we're going to try a few methods to show you. The first one I'm going to do is just the gravity system. Now, brake fluid will strip your paint, so I'm going to get a rag, I'm going to wrap it around here, and then we're going to take this off. Okay, just wrap some rag over my paint. So here we have our two screws. before we pull that off, I want you... So there's different types of brake fluid. Now, I'm not sure if that'll focus, but I'll read it here. It says here, use only .3 or .4 brake fluid. If you're wondering what this .3 or .4 means, it's got to do with the boiling point of your brake fluid. Now we use brake fluid in our clutch and our brakes. It's just brake fluid. What you can't do is use .2 because it has a lower boiling point. So let's say here on your bike it says use .3. Well, you can use .4 brake fluid because it's got a higher boiling point, but you can't use lower. Now if it says you can only use .4, well then you can only use .4. You can't use .3. So you can use a higher rating fluid in your system, brake or clutch, but you can't use the less. I've got .4 fluid, so it's okay. So let's finish pulling this off, these two screws. Now inside here there's a plastic seal cover, so I can just pull these screws out. Just put them down there for now. So here we go. There's my cover. Put that down there, and here's the little seal. Now the fluid's not a very nice colour either. Let's just clean it. I'm going to get a rag and we're going to dry all this up and get it nice and clean. As you'll learn, there's many different ways to do exactly the same thing. So I want to get rid of this old brake fluid. So you can get a syringe and suck it out and then clean it up. I've got a nice clean rag here. Put that in there. Make sure you clean. You don't want to get dust or dirt or grit in your brake or clutch system. So I've got a really clean rag soaking that fluid up. So we're nice and clean. That's beautiful. Now make sure you throw that rag away. So here's my brake fluid, .4. Okay, so on the front of my bike, we've got a little view glass here, so we know how much fluid's in. But for now, we're just gonna fill it up with beautiful, clean brake fluid. Just to keep it clean, I'm just gonna sit my lid back on. I'm not gonna put the rubber seal or anything. I just don't want any dirt falling in there. So now we're going to try the gravity method. So I'm going to get a tube. So here is our slave cylinder. So it's an 8mm. So I want to... You can see a little bit of fluid coming out of there already. So leave that open. I'm going to put this tube on here. Oh, so I can't get this tube over, so let me just take that spanner off. As you can see now, fluid is coming through our tube. Can you see it? Can you see the fluid coming? So the gravity method is working. Now you can have this fluid going down into a little bottle if you want. Often we'll drill a hole in a little bottle. I'm just going to put it on a rag down here because I want to show you it coming out. Can you see here? It's coming along. So this gravity method is working really, really well at the moment. We'll see it dripping out any second. Here we go. There, it's coming out. When you do this using gravity feed, of course you've got to make sure that you always keep your fluid topped up. Look at that, it's going down. Oh, quick, get the fluid. You don't want to... So you can see the holes there. Now one hole is used to push the fluid through, and the other little hole is like a release pressure that when you let your clutch off, the pressure in the system releases a little bit. But that's working extremely well. You can see now the fluid is coming out. So can you see the bubbles coming? Look, there we go. The bubbles are coming out, so it's working perfect as we want it to. Look at the bubbles all coming through the line. That's what we're trying to get out. Look at all the bubbles coming out of our line. So we'll keep going a little bit longer. It's still coming out. Air's still coming out of the line. So there's a lot of air in the system, but it's bleeding out. How are we going? Okay, let's top that up again. We don't want to let it run out. As you can see though, this method is working really good. And then we've still got air coming out of the system, so just be patient, let it come. But what I'm going to do... Okay, so I'm going to pull this tube off now and lock that bleeding valve off, and we're going to see if we've got pressure in our system. A little bit. So now I should have pressure on this clutch handle. Let me feel. Oh yeah, I've got a clutch now. At the moment I've got about that much free play, so I don't know if you can see. If you look down into that hole, you'll actually see it moving. So this is the second part of this system. Let's pump this handle and we'll get good pressure now. Now, there's still a little bit of air in the system, but we're pumping. Okay, fill that fluid up again. Always make sure you keep your fluid pumped right up. You never want that to empty. Okay, so I'm getting fantastic pressure in my clutch now. So this is the next system we can use to bleed our clutch. We've got a bit of pressure now. We've used gravity to get rid of a lot of the air. So now we're going to use the second system, which is the most common. Put our spanner back over. And I hope we can get this tube on a little bit. Okay, great. So now what we have to do is pump this handle here to get pressure, and then hold the handle closed, which is keeping pressure in the system, and it's not letting any more air get in. So now we'll open this up. See the air come out a little bit there and fluid. Now we close, lock it off again, pump the top clutch lever again 4 or 5 times, let the pressure out, lock it off again, keep pumping, let the pressure out. Okay, now I have fantastic pressure back in my clutch, so I'll put all this back together. Let's test to see if our clutch is working. Clutch is in. When I click it into gear, there you go. Neutral, second, third, back into working fantastic. So it appears when I had the accident, this bend here, it was laying on its side and that fluid ran out and we got air in the system. Now we're all going again. The Vmax is coming back together bit by bit. We've got it started. We've got clutch again now. I've ordered a new pair of handlebars there, so that'll be coming in the next week or so, delivery. So thanks very much. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Always drive like you know each other. And thanks very, very much. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Step by step, the clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town.